running to Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the Republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russia,
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. Glad we got such a good crowd tonight. Not everybody has lost their minds to a point of not even tuning in anymore, so that's good.
It's so funny, man, not being on Twitter. I don't even experience it.
Well, I feel like I'm on Twitter and I'm not experiencing it. I'm just like sitting here making fun of it.
Yeah.
And
but you're seeing like people going nuts though, and having.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm not seeing any of it
You're
because my
missing
chat, the people in my chat don't care, and it's not like it's going off on Truth Social or anything.
It's so funny. So many people have turned on Trump, and it's just retarded, man. We're going to talk about that, I feel like, tonight probably, because the Epstein thing broke on last Sunday. So it's been a whole week. We haven't had a chance, you and I, to discuss that yet. I feel like it may have been talked about a little bit, too much this week, but that's okay. We have a new twist in the story now. Yeah. And so we'll definitely discuss that. We'll also discuss, I don't remember what else. Oh, the Russia Collusion 2, Part 2, Boomerang. Like it's the Durham Report Part 2 coming or something. And it's interesting. I think it's finally what we're waiting for. It's what the Durham Report should have been if we get it at all. Whatever. We'll discuss all that. But yeah, it's been a fun week, really fun week, and I've been looking forward to this conversation. So
it's gonna be a good one. Yeah,
we'll see. But let's start things off real quick with a word from our sponsors. And first up, we have Bear Bars. Let me pull up the ad read here. I do not have the Bear Bars in front of me to eat while I'm live, but have we been duped? We're all trying to get healthier, grabbing protein bars that look healthy, but do you actually know what's in those bars? It's mostly junk. One comparison found a fast food burger was actually healthier than a protein bar. That's why I'm all about this new Bear Bar. It's what you thought you were getting in a protein bar, real food, minimal ingredients with no mystery additives. The Bear Bar is literally beef protein, tallow, honey, and salt. And that's it. It's all real food, and it's unbelievable that it doesn't taste like garbage. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't taste like the sugary, like protein bars you'd expect, but it's healthy.
And you actually get used to them. At first, you're like, well, this is an unusual flavor. And then after that, you begin to crave them. I think it's because my body just knows they're good, but I like them. I think that the graphic's not on there, by the way.
Oh, well, that's weird.
There you go.
There we go. Well, there they are. But yeah, I would agree with everything you said there. The first one is like it catches you off guard. But then they're very good. They're good for you. And I went through the whole box in like a week. It was
same.
Quick.
Yeah, same. And the sea salt, I think, is what hit me at first. And I was like, what is up with this? I was expecting a different flavor. But as soon as I got into it, I was like, wow, I love these things.
Yeah, totally agree with you. 20 grams of clean grass-fed beef protein, but it doesn't actually taste like beef. It's light. It's got a fluffy texture, no gut bomb like other protein bars. It's naturally sweet, easy on your stomach. Bear Bar got it right. A high-quality protein bar without the junk. You got to try it. You can even get a 15% discount and free shipping. Use promo code DPH at getbearbars.com. That's getbearbars.com. Promo code DPH. All right. And we do have another sponsor, but I may have forgotten to load their thing into the background here. I was so excited reading through Trump's old lawsuit from Hillary Clinton.
That's the best. That's like when I first thought about the whole Rico Grande thing.
Yeah.
Like you can see the setup there for it. But
yeah,
anyway.
we don't want to blow our load yet, man. We got that's like second half of the show. But I'm waiting for this to load. I can show you who the sponsor is. It's Viper Bats.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. Excited about these guys. So just hold for processing while this loads. I can start reading about it, though. Step up to the plate with Viper Bats, American-made, precision-crafted wood bats for athletes of all ages. Viper Bats are made for players by players using hand-split maple, birch, and ash billets, and that ensures unmatched durability and big league quality. Founded by a father and son with a deep love for baseball, every Viper Bat reflects their player-driven passion and expertise. With tons of color options and a 45-day warranty on most bats, swing with confidence. Viper Bats crafted for players built to last, made to love the game. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/bats. Use promo code BADLANDS15. You get a 15% off non-blemished bats. And here's the thing, guys. Bats aren't just for baseball. It's for self-defense, home defense, and occasionally just beating the retard in your life. Sometimes they deserve it. So viperbats.com. Viper probably does not condone what I just said there.
That's right. Yeah.
That last part.
Yeah.
And I was mostly joking.
That's
but I don't know. This week, man, this week has kind of got me wanting to beat a few of those retards online. But we'll talk about it. Would love to get your thoughts on the Epstein psyop this week. The Epstein Files psyop started last Sunday. We get this memo. So initial launch, everybody's trying to like do the mental gymnastics of first there's no way this is real. The logos aren't aligned. It wasn't signed. There's no date on it. Like just every possible excuse in the book as to why this couldn't be a real thing in the first place. And then it comes out, Carolyn Levitt confirmed it was real. We've had a whole week of confirmations that the memo itself was real, and it just wasn't what people wanted it to say. And the capstone of the whole week, back and forth, we had rumors Bongino was going to quit, then rumors that Kash Patel was also going to quit, and then we had a story that we're going to get this huge Comey and Brennan investigation, and that was like everybody saying, oh, that's just a cover-up. We had Trump being on the list, to Trump covering up the list, to Trump using the list as blackmail himself, to Trump being controlled by the Jews, Trump using it to take down the Jews. Like, I don't even know anymore where things are at with this, but I'm curious what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think that all that's totally valid. The Sunday night timing was like the first thing that struck me. And Ash was immediately like, there's no signature on this.
4th of July weekend.
Great point. What's that?
4th of July weekend.
4th of July weekend, Sunday night, the worst news time you could ever possibly find. So there's no other narrative that's going to be hitting there, but you can expect something big is going to be coming by the middle of Monday, and both sides play that game. Bibi Netanyahu was coming into town that Monday. So, you know, obviously you have the Israel connection there, and that just pushes Mossad right to the front, which connects directly to the Epstein thing. So I kind of am of the mind that there was probably an info op planned for Monday, that the Epstein letter on Sunday night short-circuited. And I think that pattern actually played out again with an adjacent issue 2 days later, when the new, like, Grok was about to release Grok 4, and all of a sudden Grok 3 went super anti-Semitic. And then the next morning, Linda Yaccarino was out, and the next evening, Grok 4 came out. So imagine if Grok 3 hadn't gone ultra-based in a viral way before Yaccarino quit, and then Grok 4 came out and was that ultra-based, anti-Jewish after Yaccarino had quit. Then the story would be Elon Musk, now that Yaccarino's gone, has made Grok anti-Jewish. And then we had the Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes interview coming out, and everything has just continued to pile on. And so I think that they know what info ops are coming, and that they'll intentionally release these stories that are going to disarm that narrative bomb in the minds of the public, so that it doesn't work if they even bother trying it, which I would suggest many times they don't.
So what are you thinking is the narrative that they saw coming that they wanted to diffuse?
Well, I don't know. I think it was probably something tied to Epstein and Mossad that was going to disrupt the Netanyahu negotiations with
Interesting.
Trump.
Okay.
And so, I mean, obviously I don't know, this is speculation, but it fits patterns that I think that we've seen many times and saw multiple times this week.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying here. You know, what the two biggest effects that I've seen from this, or maybe even just the single biggest effect, is the effect it had on the movement, at least the movement on Twitter. You know, I would say the larger population of normies, the ones that for the longest time, the people on Twitter have been saying that we need to wait and wake these people up. Those people don't care for the most part, but the people on Twitter really do care. And it's like almost a small scale civil war there. Like, people are super pissed at Trump because of how this whole thing played out. And I've been saying all week that I don't believe Trump had anything to do with inflating the Epstein story. Whether, you know, I'm not trying to downplay what the story is. I'm just saying it was very exaggerated, inflated. Trump was never the one to push that narrative. And so this rug pull I see it as an op to like get exactly what they got, a little bit of a split in the movement. But Trump has kind of just tried to like sidestep it. And you made a really good point in you sent me a video, and maybe we can even play the video, but maybe you could
it's
just
like 3 minutes long. It might not be worth it. I can just run through it quickly.
Yeah, but maybe we should read his Truth Social post first.
Yeah, cool.
And then, because this is kind of the capstone. So everybody remembers Trump's clip from this week where he like seemed flustered, and I wouldn't say flustered, but he was like upset. Like, we're really talking about Epstein now. We're really talking about Epstein
in the cabinet meeting, right?
At the cabinet meeting. Yep. And then we got this tonight. What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals, they're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. And yes, I have seen multiple posts already online taking this as confirmation that Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Maybe he is.
Yeah. That I don't think that's a stretch.
For years, it's not a stretch, but it's also not confirmation.
Sure.
Distinction to be made. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? Now, that quote line right there, like, if I'm being totally honest, this leaves me with more questions than anything. Like, can you go back to that part where you said Obama wrote it? What do you mean by that? That's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the JFK or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. We have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, love that, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she is looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
It's a lot,
away, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that the way that I framed this on the show yesterday and the whole week kind of this way is that Trump is able to play good cop and bad cop on every single issue. And now we see him playing good cop and bad cop basically within the same short time period. He's putting out one side of the argument. His defenders will rush to his defense. The people who think that they're smarter than Trump, they're finally going to have the tool they need to take Trump down, to finally get him. They tried this with the Operation Warp Speed stuff during Ron DeSantis. They've had all these different attack points for how they're trying to get Trump. He's, sold out to Israel. All these complaints that seem like they have something that you can hold on to. They're not stuff that you can just immediately dismiss, because the obvious instinct is to be like, well, yeah, but Trump's not going in the right direction on this, right? So all the people that hate Trump come in and give all the anti-Trump argument, and then Trump steps to the opposite side of the issue, and the anti-Trump people have to attack him again, because that's all they ever do is attack him. No matter what he does, he's attacked by these people. So he's attacked in the positive and in the negative, and he's defended in the positive and the negative. And once that happens, like, Trump can simply step out of the issue, and the argument is just the argument. And the argument always goes in the direction of where Trump is second. He's just laying down these templates that are going to be reversed eventually. And as soon as they're reversed, he gets off scot-free. That's the Teflon Don part, you know? He's just out of there. He's going to be just fine. When the next shoe drops on this, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, come on. Trump was just doing an info op thing with these posts. He was just riling people up. He's getting the public to talk nonstop about these Jeffrey Epstein files. Oh, look at this. The entire American public's pushing for us to do something more on these exact issues. It gives him a lot of leeway in the future. Right now, he has to take the slings and the arrows, even from people who claim to support him, because they are trying to virtue signal to other people that are on the Trump side of things. Like, look at this. I care only about the children and Trump doesn't care about anything. Like, dude, if Trump wasn't here, most of you would have never heard anything about these stories. I wouldn't have.
Yeah. You make a great point. I love the framing because we've talked a little bit on Badlands on various different shows, this one included, about the Trump taking multiple sides of an issue and, you know, doing the feedback loop stuff. But the framing of him playing good cop and bad cop is, I think, perfect. Because there's so many examples you can find where he does that. He'll go from one, even his endorsements, like he'll go from full on endorsing Lindsey Graham to like hating him and like calling him the, you know, taking full responsibility for the reason he's there. It's coming all the way back around again and wishing him a happy birthday this week and another endorsement. He does that all the time, and it does give him the full spectrum of leeway and narrative shielding in all cases for him to dictate and navigate things how he wants it to go.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Yeah. And, you know, he always starts out in a way that's going to have either the left side of the uniparty or the right side of the uniparty attack him. The other one will be supporting him or something that is, you know, a principle that Trump is aligned with currently. And then it'll just reverse. And it happens over and over and over again. And people don't catch on to it because there still is this big section of the normie sphere that believes they're smarter than Donald Trump and they have more information than Trump, and they're going to be the ones who are right. Like they're the real driving force. And I mean, to me, and I assume to you, all that stuff is kind of silly because they base all these viewpoints on winning an election. Like we're the ones who came out and voted for him. So what? Like that doesn't, that's not even a real thing. You know, like he's trying to accomplish something that is much bigger than just having people with R's next to their names in illegitimate offices of our defunct federal government.
Yeah. This is why it's so important too, to like, when you're operating in the info war and you're trying to like base your arguments off of what Trump is doing, who, again, we keep repeatedly saying, we know for a fact he's the only one we can give the benefit of the doubt to for operating in the info war. Like he's constantly doing psyops, and it will never know exactly what the truth is with him until it's like shown to us, if it ever is. And so for us, like our role is to operate based on principles. You don't just agree with the man and what he says because he says it. You don't just disagree with the man and what he says because he says. You don't just let him get away with whatever he says because you know a QD code says you're supposed to. Like you can have all these excuses, or you can just operate based on what you believe and what you believe the first principles are, and follow that path. And whether that lines up with what Trump is doing or not, so be it. You don't even know what Trump wants half the time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you can just separate the two. I trust that Trump knows what he's doing and is doing the right thing to create the desired and intended effect through this action or this statement or whatever it is. But also the substance of that statement is something that I disagree with, and I would like to see it move this way. Those are entirely rational, normal positions to hold. You could be upset with something he's done or you think he's done or he said or whatever, and then still be in total support of him. I mean, think about the other funny post that he had today, and you had a great meme to go along with it, so I won't ruin it. But
which one? The
Rosie O'Donnell thing.
Oh yeah.
Then the executive order.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
This is his post. Because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interest of our great country, I'm giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She's a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America. That was so random too.
She's a threat to humanity. That's so funny. Your meme was good, by the way, and I think you should pull it up. But
here, I'll pull it up right here.
There you go.
Addressing the risks associated with fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. And that's the Rosie O'Donnell meme.
Yeah.
For those who don't remember that clip.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
You've called women you don't like.
So funny.
So
anyway,
good.
you were saying.
So if you are a Trump supporter or a Trump quote unquote voter who still spends a lot of time in the normie sphere and talking to liberals and whatever, you probably have those text messages where you're arguing with someone and you've been arguing with that person for 5 years and you still pretend you're best friends, even though you're totally not. Everybody has those kinds of people. And when Trump posts something like this, you know that Trump deranged liberal is going to be hitting you with a message being like, look at this post on Rosie O'Donnell. How are you going to defend this? And it's like, well, okay. And so people on the Trump side, they get fatigued from that because they believe that Trump is supposed to be their vehicle to finally conquer their liberal friends. But that's not what Trump's there for.
No.
And like, you're just completely missing it if you're going to take him literally at his word every time and then emote about it. Trump wants people to think for themselves. And if he didn't want people to think for themselves, he would be a very bad leader, you know? And so we have to understand that, and we have to be willing and able to think for ourselves and think past where he is. Because if he's trying to bring everybody along at one time, and this whole thing is scripted and scheduled, well, the way for us to look after our own lives, the lives of our family, the lives of people in our communities, and, you know, our state politics or whatever it is, we got to be speeding ahead of where the television narrative pace is. And I think that, you know, just the constant emotional reactions to every next thing Trump posts is insane. I mean, this is an info op for an intended effect in the online conversation. The solution is to step outside of that. And I know that I'm kind of on a diatribe here, but
no, I love it.
The thing that everybody always says about how they're just looking out for the children. Well, here's the thing. Which children are you looking out for? It's a question worth asking. Is there a set of children that you know about who are not being looked after that the Epstein files is going to somehow help save? I think that the likelihood of that is really, really low. Okay. And the release to the public of the Epstein files is not an indication of who's being held accountable behind the scenes, who's being protected behind the scenes, but the claim to only caring about the children allows for the excuse of all sorts of other behaviors and activities. Oh, I only care about the children. Okay, well, you've selected the easiest possible thing in the world to say. It is all the way on one end. No matter what we talk about, you can always say, yeah, well, you might think that, but I only care about the children. Okay, well, I guess you win, you know? And it's been used that way for years and years and years. We don't know what's in the Epstein files. To suggest that we do know and that the release of those is going to save kids is totally irrational.
I totally agree with you. And this was my point all week is like, what if the Epstein files, as we have come to know them, has been exaggerated? People don't like hearing that, but it's very possible. That's exactly what Kash Patel said in the show. I did see a post somewhere earlier this week, and I thought it was a good one. I wish I could find it because the wording of it is going to be much better than my paraphrasing of it. But it's like, okay, let's hypothetically speaking, let's say the Epstein files comes out. What does that change for you in your personal life? What does the Epstein files being released change? Mm-hmm. Is there going to be somebody in there that like you didn't already know was a bad person? If it even exists, I don't know. I totally botched. I shouldn't have even said it because I didn't.
No. I think that makes sense. And we got the. I guess you and I didn't talk about this, but the Epstein Black Book
flight logs
was what?
The flight logs?
No, the Black Book of all the contacts and stuff
Oh yeah.
You know, all the
Rolodex.
I think it was like 2,000 contacts of
Yep.
like high profile people. That was released to Gawker by the butler. The butler did it. And then eventually Peter Thiel paid for Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker, which took down Gawker a couple years after that, which is
I did
interesting.
not know that.
Because there's the Thiel connection there
Epstein.
as well. Yeah, and that's important. But that book of contacts is not like necessarily at all a book of clients. And so we have all these people that are in the flight logs or in that contact list, and it's all these high profile people, and everybody's just like, well, all of them are pedophiles. I don't know that to be true. Some of them might be. And we can talk about elite pedophilia, which I am certain exists. We have a slave trade at the southern border that includes sex trafficking and child sex trafficking. Okay.
Which Trump has shut down, essentially, he said.
So we're told. Yeah.
Yep.
And I hope that that's true, right? If that's true, well, then a big chunk of that problem, to the extent we can affect it, has been affected by Donald Trump. And we should care a lot about the fact that they've shut down the illegal immigration at the southern border, because that is an industrial scale problem like the one we believe Jeffrey Epstein was involved with. But that's the industrial scale. Okay. So I think that a lot of this is just our culture's obsession with the rich and famous and powerful, and the desire to raise these people up as demigods and then crush them at some point until they tell us the thing we need to hear, and then we can bring them back along. I mean, I watched that thing happen with celebrities so many times over the course of being in Hollywood. Like somebody's everyone's hero, then there's some scandal. Ben Affleck cheats on J-Lo or something. Oh, Ben's a jerk. And then they get back together. Oh, Ben's okay now. You know, it's the same thing that's happening with Elon Musk right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
I'm keep going back to that Trump Truth Social post where he's talking about Obama writing the Epstein list, much like the Russia hoax, and the like, comparing it to all these hoaxes that we're all very familiar with. And if that's true, like if we're taking what he said there as true, which we shouldn't do because we know he's constantly engaged in psyops, but I just want to play with that idea for a little bit. If we're going to equate the Epstein list as a narrative tool, just like the Russia collusion hoax was, where they just fabricated a story, ran with it in the media with in the attempt to basically take down Trump with the narrative, right? Like that's what that was. It was a narrative takedown of Trump being a Russian stooge. So if what he's saying there is the Epstein list was the same thing, it was used to take down people publicly with a narrative that, you know, they were engaged in child pedophilia. Did they try to use it on Trump? Did they try to use it on other people? I know Bill Clinton was on the list. Like there's other powerful people. Is Trump saying with that quote there that this is something people used, even though they may not have been engaged in it, but they were just tied to it in the media, and therefore the assumption was that they were engaged in this child pedophilia, but it was just a narrative weapon that's thrown around. Not saying that these crimes don't exist, because I totally believe it does. I'm just trying to toy with the idea of why Trump would have said that in that Truth Social post, and then try to downplay it as if it's like none of this was a big deal. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting.
Well, it's also entirely possible that there's another shoe to drop on the Epstein story, a piece of information that we just are unaware of. You know, I always keep it in mind, and I think it's just wise to do it in general. Like, we're not going to be infallible about any of the things we believe. Like, we have to really be honest about our levels of detachment from knowing the reality of the Jeffrey Epstein story. There's multiple levels in there. And what we've gotten are media stories, court transcripts, supposed witness and victim testimony, a Netflix documentary. That should be a red flag. But
wait,
these
who's got a Netflix documentary? There was
a next Netflix documentary about Epstein in like
that's right.
2021 or 2022 or something.
Obama owns part of Netflix, don't they?
I think that they were brought on to the board, or there was some production deal that they had. I think Susan Rice was on the board.
Sorry to interrupt.
But no, that's fine. So, but what if there's something additional about the Epstein story, right? What if he was the honeypot guy to trap all these people or something? And we think that that's the case, but we think it on the other side, right? And so, that it's just for compromise and control. Well, it might be just for compromise and control, but it also might be that all of that is what actually is going to end up taking these people down intentionally. And they've been reversing the story so that we are unprepared for an eventuality like that. And again, I don't know that any of that is the case, but to think that we have the complete story on this thing, I think is crazy. I don't think we could say that to ourselves and be honest with ourselves, thinking that we know the entire story. I don't believe that we do. Man, there's a bunch of stories we don't know the entire story to, and a lot of them are formative and foundational for what the truth community broadly and collectively believes. And that's kind of a problem.
I would say all stories we don't know the full truth of. And this is like this whole show, guys, the Devolution Power Hour. How many times do we admit like we don't even know for sure if this is how it was implemented? We don't have the full details of this entire thing. We're kind of speculating based on the circumstantial evidence of what this black hole mass is that's in the middle of this 4-year period we call the Biden term. There's something there. We don't know exactly what it is, and we think this most closely maps onto reality. There's so much that we don't know, and I think that's absolutely right. With the Epstein files too, we've been talking about this idea. I've seen a lot of people, and even people on some of these shows like Only Lands and Liberty Den, have been playing around with the thought of, well, what if, everything we knew about Epstein is true, okay? The blackmail material that he has on all these people, all these world leaders, and now Trump is just taking that and using it, and he's using the same way Epstein was and the deep state was controlling people. Now Trump and the white hats are doing the same thing and controlling these same people, which a total possibility. But I want to talk about the morality of that, because I see people like throwing this out there, and some people are even like celebrating it as if it's like, oh, total control now, guys. It's just Trump in control. If my thought, if Trump and the good guys are blackmailing people with child pornography and rape and all that stuff, just like the bad guys were, then how can we call them the good guys anymore? Because it's the same. It's literally the same exact thing that they were doing, even if it's the ends justify the means argument, whatever. I don't know. I'd like to get your thoughts on that, because you have a philosophy background.
Well, I think that's a problem in general, that people are willing to lie in service of this plan they don't know, and are unwilling to admit that they A, don't know the plan, and B, aren't certain about the things they're saying when they're making these claims on stories that we are levels removed from. All right. We got to be at least humble enough to say we don't know the full truth. And it's obvious that we don't know the full truth, or we wouldn't be asking for the files.
That's a great point. Can I play your truth and hard clip? Are you okay with that?
I mean, you can, yeah.
If you don't want me to, I won't. But
no, it's fine. I'm going to make an extended version of it that I'm going to put out tomorrow. I realized I came back to the subject and kind of gave a more extended explanation. But yeah, go ahead.
I just think it's really good, and I think it kind of fits this spot.
Many people in that broader truth community orbit are not willing to press Trump in directions because they're too busy trusting the plan and making sure that everybody else trusts the plan, which just means whatever the TV shows, we are going to analyze it or play match with it online and find little number patterns. We're going to do Kabbalistic numerology online and tell you what your future is. Hey, it's divination, you dorks. It's so silly. Anyhow, the point is, we could be moving ahead on that timeline, and then Trump would be moving forward more quickly because the public is already aligned with where he needs to go. All right. That's what gives him the opportunity. We have to blow that hole in the enemy's defense wide open so Trump can bring everyone else through. All right. That's what we got to be doing. And instead, we're like, man, I hope Trump decides to bring those people through sometime soon. We're just waiting on that. You're just waiting on the entire project to be finished before you think about maybe you got to do something on your own. Really? Seems odd to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, I just think it's so good, and it's so accurate. Somebody in the chat said 10,000 hours of video. That's something that keeps floating around there. The justification from Pam Bondi and company is it was 10,000 hours of like child porn he downloaded on the internet. Yeah. Could be. And that's another thing too. Maybe we cover this aspect of it and then we can get into the next subject here. But a lot of people are either like super pro, like, okay, well, Trump trusts Pam Bondi, so I trust Pam Bondi too. Trump trusts Kash Patel, so I trust Kash Patel, and like down and down the list. Like, what about all the people he trusted in his first term that turned out to be bad people? Like, I'm of the opinion that there's no such thing as full control. I've never believed it. I think there's an evil that exists, and they're constantly fighting against the Trump administration. I don't even know if it's possible. I mean, okay, maybe it is possible, but it's unlikely that they can possibly know of every single person that is a bad actor. There's Judas goats everywhere. It's going on both sides. I saw that shoulder shrug of disagreement there.
No, I agree with you. I think it's continue.
Okay, no, I was just being stupid. I think it's very difficult to know. Like, it's the moves and counter moves, and I think both sides have people embedded on both sides. Like, it's impossible to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And I've got caught playing the white hat, black hat game more times than I'm proud of. I've been there. I try not to do it anymore. I'm more so of the point, like, I don't care. I'm just going to like call out the bullshit when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a sifting moment right now over Pam Bondi and some of the DOJ, the FBI officials. And I think that's maybe part of the point too. Like, we're at a moment where you can either argue the principles of it, or you can like choose to like somebody because Trump says so, or you can choose to hate somebody because an influencer online says so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where are you at with that?
I think that knowing who's the good guy and who's the bad guy from a top-down level on the Trump side is a worthwhile concern. It's worth thinking about how fully they could possibly know the entirety of the enemy side, understanding that there are people involved in stealing elections in our local communities who we're not going to know about anytime soon, maybe won't know about at all. But you have to go down through level after level after level. It's not just the administrative deep state in the federal government, and it's not just the white shoe law firms that Trump has gone after. And it's not just at some of the military contractors. It's not just in the intelligence community. There's all these different places where they got to figure out who all the bad guys are. And I think there's also this pattern in the way the plan has kind of rolled out over the years, that they want to give people a moment of like choice and decision. Like, this is your moment of truth. You go this way or you go this way. And he waits for them to make their decision. There can still be elements of not randomness, but the unknown, let's say, and still know that no matter which way it goes, you're going to be okay because it's all been gamed out and you have a response. If this person doesn't take the path of truth and sunlight, and they go down the dark path instead, well, then there's a way to react to that decision. And so I think that they give people the opportunity to really choose what side they're on, and then they're still monitored. And that's a totally normal thing to do in our lives as well.
Oh yeah. We do that at Badlands all the time.
Yeah.
Bring people on. We don't like bring them full circle right away, and watch how they act. Like, we still have Alpha. Alpha's not still in full circle. We're still not sure about him. Just kidding, Alpha. Just kidding, but not really. Okay, let's kind of transition here, because this next story, I'm going to play a John Solomon clip. It's a pretty long one. That's what she said, but it's good. It covers like kind of the full bases of what we're going to be talking about for a majority of the rest of the show. But I just want to point out before we even get there, because this is him like announcing this huge investigation, and it's like all this accountability and justice that we're going to be seeing, or that we've been wanting for a long time. It's an interesting, almost contradiction that is put forth, because everybody's saying that Pam Bondi is this one thing because of how she handled the Epstein stuff. If that's who she is, and that's the thing she is, and Kash Patel and Trump and all these people, that's who they are because of how they handled this story. But it's contradicted by how they're handling this story, which we're told encompasses a lot of the same bad actors. You know what I mean? Like, and again, we don't even know exactly what we're going to see with this. It's just an announcement by John Solomon. And he has been wrong about the timeline of releases of information in the past. It happens. But do you see what I'm saying there? Like, there's a contradiction between these two stories of Trump's not willing to go after the bad people with this one story, and then we're told immediately after Trump is willing to go after all those same bad people, just in a different fashion.
Yeah.
And so, like, what are we supposed to do with that information?
Well, and Bannon was also saying today at, the war rooms down at Charlie Kirk's event in Florida or whatever. And Bannon was talking about exactly that, about introducing the Epstein issue in the midst of that larger investigation, and that would all be handled by a special counsel. And when somebody like Steve Bannon has advanced as far as talking about the special counsel, and we can watch the Solomon clip, that is a good indication that thing has already been happening and is already probably at the point of being ready to wrap up.
Yeah, because it's been like 10 years. And
yeah,
we've had multiple huge investigations along the way, plus a couple civil lawsuits, which we'll talk about as well. Let's listen to this clip posted by our good buddy, the Storm Redux.
And I think next week, over the next 10 days, the base who's been wondering, where's all that accountability? They're going to get some big surprises over the next week concerning where the conspiracy began a few weeks before Crossfire Hurricane was open and when it ended, all the way in 2024, when they were still trying to pursue Donald Trump to keep him from winning the presidency. There's a big case that's been built by the Justice Department and the FBI. It's been masked by a lot of this infighting and drama and soap opera stuff. But the truth of the matter is, MAGA base Americans are going to be happy when they see where this is all heading in the next few weeks. Kash Patel's going nowhere. I hope Dan Bongino isn't going anywhere, but I do think he's going to take some time over the weekend to think that through.
So hold it. We got 3 huge leads there.
Yep.
Number one, I want to go back. You're saying the 10-year conspiracy against President Trump to try to thwart his first term, steal the second term,
right,
and basically surround him in his second term or third victory.
Yep.
That has been an ongoing investigation that the FBI is already doing.
Yeah.
Does the Brennan
conspiracy case? It was hinted at. In fact, it was hinted at, Steve, in some of the media reporting, but I've got to confirm there's a conspiracy case that was open that looks at this window as a very large window. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a special prosecutor named by Pam Bondi in the next week or two. And why does this become significant? Because you don't have to necessarily then bring the grand jury or the indictment in Washington, D.C., where the 90% Democrat jury pool probably won't convict even if they had a murder. It allows them to go to someplace like Florida. One act of the overt conspiracy could very well be, Steve, that they raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago house with false pretenses. And then you can bring the grand jury in Florida. You can bring the indictment in Florida because an overt act of the conspiracy occurred there. Maybe several overt acts of the conspiracy occurred there. You don't have to have a all-blue jury in Washington, D.C. that has Trump derangement syndrome. So this has been going on behind the scenes. I've been working on this. I decided tonight to.
I almost want to pause before we finish this because there's so many things here already. I want to first say right off the bat, as somebody who wants accountability and justice just as much as the next person, somebody I've probably read more actual documents about the Russia collusion hoax. I've read the entire Durham report. I've read all of John Solomon's legal filings in his own case. I've read a bunch of shit, guys, about this thing. Okay, there's crimes here. I've read all of Trump's lawsuit. I want that justice, want that accountability. I just want to say, don't stand on the rug. Do not stand on the rug, because how many times have we, and I'm not saying we're not going to get it. Maybe this is the time that we finally get our justice and accountability, but how many times have we sat there with our mouths shut and our fingers crossed and, crisscross applesauce waiting to the Durham report, that will solve all of our problems. This investigation will solve all of our problems. And it rug pulls us. It happens. So I want to preface everything we're going to say in this entire discussion with, don't stand on the rug, temper your expectations, and you can't get let down. Actually, I have a perfect meme for that. Hold on. Temper Expectations by Charles Dickens and John Harold. That's number one. But I will say what he's talking about here is basically what we've been waiting for this entire time. This is the big one, right? And it's kind of hard not to get excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most exciting events, assuming it is what we think it is. I mean, the RICO model was kind of pioneered by Rudy Giuliani dealing with the mafia back in New York. And the idea is that an organization of many parts is formed for the express purpose of doing illegal things, of committing crimes. And so even if somebody was only operating as an accountant and they were doing their accounting job correctly, let's say, the fact that they were working and doing that job on behalf of an organization whose express purpose was committing a crime, well, that makes that person guilty as part of the conspiracy. And so with that sort of thing, you can, rather than go after one person and then the next person higher up and the next person after that, while they're all getting replaced below that, because it takes months or years to give accountability to anybody. Well, then you've got the RICO approach that, if successful, brings down everybody at once. And so I think that that's always been the pattern that we've been working toward.
Yep.
I've been talking about this on my show since 2021 was the big tech lawsuits, Trump with the class action against the big tech companies. And then early 2022, I think March of 2022 was when Trump v. Clinton et al. Was released. And that seems to be the framework.
March 24th, 2022. And that's where I get excited about this. So a couple things we can get into. You know what? Maybe we should finish the rest of this clip and then we'll get into it, because the RICO aspect, that model, like you're saying, I think it does fit what he's describing here and what we've witnessed perfectly. Like, that's the perfect approach to take them down. And I'll explain that in more detail here after this clip. About 2 minutes left.
Get some of this out there. Been talking about in my show. This is a really big deal. Now, who becomes a special prosecutor? How far ranging is it? That's to be determined by the scope memo that a Pam Bondi would write. But there is.
Can I also just point something out real quick before we move past that point there of the special prosecutor? Everybody who's been freaking out over the Epstein file stuff has been like, we need Matt Gaetz as a special prosecutor. Reminder, Matt Gaetz' ethics report, if you are to believe what's in there, which hasn't been debunked yet, and it got him to allegedly resign from Congress, he had slept with minors based on what's in there, whether they had fake IDs, all that stuff, whatever. But that's one of the crimes that he is allegedly to have committed. And so I think it's an interesting dynamic that the same people who are pissed that we haven't got Epstein disclosure over elites having sex with minors are like, we need Gaetz as our guy.
Yeah,
I think that's just an interesting little.
Well, and the commonality between the two is that nobody knows the real truth in either situation.
Exactly.
And when you remember that, you can understand, well, I believe this one and I don't believe the other one. And it just so happens that they line up with my political partisan persuasions. So that's kind of an inconvenient fact about taking that viewpoint.
Yeah. If you haven't yet, go read the ethics report. I'm just repeating what I read in there. What I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't just as well as you do.
Some work on a scope memo that's been done already, and there is an enormous opportunity for those of us who've been calling for accountability to see a path to it for the first time, a legitimate path, not smoke, not mirrors, a legitimate path to accountability.
Also, let me just ask you on this conspiracy, does that mean, because people talk about the statute of limits and you can only get Brennan for perjury, lying to Congress, that you can't get him for everything involved in Crossfire Hurricane, everything involved with the nullification project, the Russian hoax? Are you saying by being a criminal conspiracy that's still ongoing that we can go back in time 10 years and still get Brennan and still get all these guys for more serious charges of conspiracy of a coup d'etat, sir?
That's how conspiracy cases can work. You can charge a series of events into a larger conspiracy and go back beyond the window of time that the normal statute of limitations for any single crime occurred. And keep in mind, there's also, prosecutors can make a very powerful argument that if you didn't know the crime had occurred because it had been hidden, the statute of limitations could actually reset for a period of time. But I think the most likely scenario is a large conspiracy case, and it starts in the middle of July 2016 when John Brennan walks into President Obama 2 weeks before, or a few days before Crossfire Hurricane's launch, and said, hey, we have this intercepted information that Hillary Clinton has authorized a program to make it look like Donald Trump's a Russian spy and Vladimir Putin is helping him. President Obama and Brennan knew before the FBI opened up on that information that this was a dirty trick by Hillary Clinton. That would be the first overt act. And then it would carry all the way through Ukraine impeachment. It could go into the FBI refusing to look at the Chinese interference in the 2020 election as one of the overt acts. They didn't want to help Donald Trump, so they ignored a potential counterintelligence threat. It allows for a very large series of events to be wrapped into a single conspiracy and all of them to be brought into the indictment.
All right. By the way, guys, do us a favor, if you don't mind, take 2 seconds of your time and hit that thumbs up button for us. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, so the first part of this story that I think is interesting is the fact that it's John Solomon is the one who's breaking it. And I want to go back to the mystery of the missing binder. This is a story we covered on a Power Hour a while ago. Mystery of the missing binder, how a collection of raw Russian intelligence disappeared under Trump. This is the only time we got any, aspect of this story. They never returned to it and said they found it. Didn't show up in any lost and found in Washington, D.C. somewhere. But the aspect that I think is most interesting is John Solomon is technically the last one who has admitted to having the binder himself. And now he's the one breaking the story. On January 19, 2021, Trump issued a declassification order for a binder of materials related to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Crossfire Hurricane investigation. The White House planned to distribute the declassified documents around Washington, including to Trump ally conservative journalist John Solomon, but Trump's order did not lead to its release. And earlier this year, Solomon sued the Justice Department and National Archives for access to the documents. Solomon claims that on the night of January 19th, Meadows invited him to the White House to review several hundred pages of the declassified binder. One of Solomon's staffers was even allowed to leave the White House with the declassified records in a paper bag. Mr. Solomon's staff began setting up a scanning operation for the complete set of documents to be released the next morning. Solomon's attorneys wrote in a court filing last month, but as they set up the equipment, they received a call from the White House asking that the documents, still under embargo, be returned because the White House wished to make some additional redactions to unclassified information under the Privacy Act. The next morning, January 20th, they were picked up by a Secret Service agent in a Whole Foods grocery bag, according to Cassidy Hutchinson. And then they were never seen from again, we're told. And then at the beginning of this administration, we had Trump issue the declassification again. Kash Patel was working as Trump's liaison to NARA throughout this whole period of the summer of 23 and throughout, as was John Solomon, trying to get back these records that were totally there somewhere. I just personally, total speculation, believe that John Solomon made those copies and just kept them the whole time. And who knows? Because the bad guys, they delete shit. That's probably what they do with the Epstein files. They want them to do it with this. Anyway, so that's aspect number one. It's interesting John Solomon is coming out with this. Now, if you look at the crimes that were committed by all the people involved here, and do you want to comment on any of that first?
Well, I would just say I actually just lost it because I started listening to your new thing. Something about the Epstein files. What was it you just said about the Epstein files?
Oh, I said John Solomon probably just made all the copies and kept it under embargo because they delete shit at the FBI.
Oh, they deleted the deleting of the stuff. Yeah. There's two things worth mentioning there. It's also entirely possible that the documents are just somewhere else besides the DOJ, and they don't actually have the stuff that people believe is there and that people want to see because it's involved in something else at a higher level or whatever. And I know that that's not a satisfactory answer. I'm for full transparency. Like, I think that the government should not have secrets from the people, like any secrets. Okay. So I think all of that should be put out into the public, come what may. But the fact that none of it has been put out for generations means that we understand our world to be entirely different than it actually is. And so to just dump everything on everybody at one moment, it would be like, I talked about it yesterday in my show, like about finding out that you were adopted 100 times at once, like that total jarring revelation that just changes the world as you've known it. Well, if that happens on 100 issues, you realize you were exactly wrong. You were actually aiding and abetting evil throughout your life. I mean, this is a lot of the stuff that I came to realize in 2020, having you know, been a liberal in Hollywood for 20 years, I was like, oh, wow. All of these things that everybody does and that everybody glorifies and everybody says this is like a good way to live, and all these political opinions that are important to have, like, all that can be wrong. And we got to be prepared for that at all times. The other thing is, there are people who are far more important. If Jeffrey Epstein is exactly who people believe that he is, there are still people at a much higher level than like some Hollywood celebrities and some politicians. You know, there's levels above them. And if we really want to get the problem rooted out and dealt with, we got to get to those levels. Can we do that if we're totally focused on who these celebrities are?
I would say no, probably not.
I don't know.
But also, I do totally agree with you about the transparency aspect. And I'm at the point where I don't care if you have to tell people they're adopted in 100 different ways. They should know that they're adopted. They should know who their real mommy and daddy are.
I agree with you 100%. And I also think that at some point there's going to be that moment where whatever the rest of it is, that's going to be relative to the person, right? I don't think that any of us are fully awake. I don't think that's possible. Like, that's not for us as humans, you know, but for the people who really aren't awake to any of it, well, then they get hit with 100 times what we might get hit with, because we've considered all these things, which isn't to say we have the right answer on all of them, but we've thought about these things before. We've tried to understand what the other side of these issues is, rather than just our own personal opinion. Like, if you, I think it was John Stuart Mill or something. I'm pretty sure it was Mill. He said, and I'm going to butcher the exact wording, but if you only know one side of the argument, you actually don't know any sides of the argument. You know, you really do have to know both sides and understand what the good case is on the other side to be able to deal with any argument.
It's a great point too. Great. Absolutely great point. But yeah. Okay. So back to this aspect here, the RICO case. And this is what I think is interesting, because not only there's two levels to this. There's what took place within the intelligence community, which was, we're told, and kind of to a degree rooted out with the John Durham report. Kash Patel played a hand in uncovering a lot of that. Devin Nunes, a lot of the key devolution players, Derek Harvey, Michael Ellis, Ezra Cohen-Watnick, they all contributed to the exposure of what the intelligence community and the Obama administration did within, or at least in their attempt to try to take down Trump. Like, they all played a role in that. That's one thing that's already kind of mapped out. The second half of this is Trump's civil lawsuit, like you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that I think is so darn interesting. I want to read actually a couple aspects of this case, because it's freaking nuts. I gotta find the right window. Here we go. I went through and highlighted a couple things. It won't take long, but this like maps it out. You have like a civil side, the public side, the Hillary Clinton side, and then you have the intelligence side, which like Brennan, Comey is mentioned in here, but that's it. Obama's not mentioned in here. It's mainly focused on the key players that were directly associated with Clinton. Mm-hmm. But there is an overlap in here. And that's what I hope whatever this thing John Solomon is talking about, this RICO case, however it, encompasses everybody, it's using both the roadmap laid out by Durham, which he barely charged anybody on, mm-hmm. and the roadmap laid out by Trump in this lawsuit. And I think Peter Tickton and some of these lawyers, you put that together, you already have the entire thing mapped out.
Yeah.
And it's pretty brilliant.
I would also just say, people might have noticed the John Doe's 1 through 10 and unnamed corporations 1 through 10.
Yep.
When they do 1 through 10 like that, it's any number of entities and any number of individuals. So they're just putting like the main principles here, and then all of the bit players are going to, those are going to be, disclosed to the court at some point, but and to the public at some point. But for now, they're just John Doe's and ABC Corporation. Yeah.
And for all we know, like, this is where you find that overlap between what Durham found and some of these other investigations and here. But Yeah, I'm gonna read through some of this. Okay, in the run-up of the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscious and is an affront to this nation's democracy. Let me find my glasses here. Acting in concert, the defendants maliciously conspired to weave a false narrative that their Republican opponent, Donald Trump, was colluding with a hostile foreign sovereignty. The actions taken in furtherance of their scheme, falsifying evidence, deceiving law enforcement, and exploiting access to highly sensitive data sources are so outrageous, subversive, and incendiary that even the events of Watergate pale in comparison. Under the guise of opposition research, data analytics, and other political stratagems, the defendants nefariously sought to sway the public's trust. They worked together with a single self-serving purpose to vilify Donald Trump. Indeed, their far-reaching conspiracy was designed to cripple Trump's bid for presidency by fabricating a scandal that would be used to trigger an unfounded federal investigation and ignite a media frenzy. And this is where I think this is like where the overlap begins, like the media involvement. Like you can get so many entities that talk about John Doe's and corporations, the media that played a role in this. I mean, you could take down so many different things, the big tech, all these social media platforms, like it really could be all encompassing. Let me scroll down.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things about this indictment or this, lawsuit filing was it's not an indictment, I should have said filing, is that it tells the whole story. And it tells it in a way that anyone who reads it can understand completely. There's nothing confusing about it. And so this case was dismissed by Judge Donald Middlebrooks, who was a Clinton appointee. And I think that it's, since been appealed. But regardless, this was a public disclosure of what's going on in the background and where they're trying to take things. And, we get told, as we do with so many things, the courts, they just didn't take it up. Okay, well, that does not close the issue.
No. The fallout from the defendant's actions was not limited to the public denigration of Trump and his campaign. The FBI, relying on the defendant's fraudulent evidence, part they should put in there is knowingly relying on the defendant's fraudulent evidence, commenced a large-scale investigation and expended precious time, resources, and taxpayer dollars looking into the spurious allegation that the Trump campaign had colluded with the Russian government to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. The effects of this unfounded investigation were prolonged and exacerbated by the presence of a small faction of Clinton loyalists who were well-positioned within the Department of Justice and FBI, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Kevin Kleinsmith, and Bruce Orr. And that's just scratching the surface, too. There were people there much longer than that. And then here's like the summary part of it. In short, the defendants, blinded by political ambition, orchestrated a malicious conspiracy to disseminate patently false and injurious information about Donald Trump and his campaign, all in the hopes of destroying his life, his political career, and rigging the 2016 presidential election in favor of Hillary Clinton. When their gambit failed and Donald Trump was elected, the defendants' efforts continued unabated, merely shifting their focus to undermining his presidential administration. Worse still, the defendants continue to spread their vicious lies to this day as they unabashedly publicize their thoroughly debunked falsehoods in an effort to ensure that he will never be elected again. The deception, malice, and treachery perpetrated by the defendants has caused significant harm to the American people and to the plaintiff, Donald J. Trump, and they must be held accountable for their heinous acts. And that just nails it. Throughout this lawsuit, he says multiple times, like it's still ongoing to this day, which was in 2022. And John Solomon, it's very much in line with what he was saying about you have this like huge window, like it goes all the way back to Russiagate, but then it was Mueller, then it was impeachment, then it was the Hunter Biden thing, then it was ignoring election fraud stuff, and on and on and on and on. And it's all connected. I think he mentioned, I don't know if it was in that clip, but another clip, he talks about the political persecution of Trump and the Jack Smith case. And like, there's so many avenues. Another disclosure avenue I've been looking at some today is Chuck Grassley and some of the stuff he's been doing, because he's been working with Kash Patel a lot lately about declassifying stuff. Like he'll send something over and then Kash Patel will declassify it. And there's a lot of interesting, like if you're going back to even 2021, 22, 23, 24, like Timothy Thibault or whatever that guy's name is, and his role in connection to the Biden administration, the 51 intelligence agents letter. Thibault, yeah. Like there's a lot of players like that, and littered throughout the Jack Smith stuff. I mean, I don't want to stand on the rug. I may have a toe on it right now. but it's exciting. It's hard not to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's totally appropriate to be talking about what this is to the extent that we're able to flesh it out. And I think all that means is that we're taking John Solomon's reporting seriously. This is a move that we have anticipated now for years. I think we're seeing signs that that move is inbound, and the timing is interesting too. This was one of those things that I was like, okay, well, you got me there. Someone in my chat yesterday said, the Rainmaker guy, who's this strange op that's been appearing on people's podcasts.
Peter Thiel's
His name
boy?
is Augustus Dorico. And the person said, August, us, do Rico. And I was like, okay, I mean, maybe that is what's going to happen.
No.
I'm
I
just
hate
saying.
that. I hate that. I hate how much I love that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't buy it. Just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Just a coincidence.
I mean, August Dorico does sound like he's made up, though. And his backstory with Peter Thiel is exactly the same as Silicon Valley, the HBO show.
He does have a mullet too. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you make up a guy with a mullet? That's just, you can't do that. Only real people wear mullets, Chris.
Yeah. I mean,
no, it's weird. The Peter Thiel connection. Peter Thiel being in like the background of like every one of these stories is so, I mean, concerning. He's literally in the background. Every story you look at, you can find a way to connect it to Peter Thiel. Every single story.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And I actually read a blog this week, and people can take it for what it's worth. It's the author says this is a series of rumors that are prevalent in Silicon Valley. I can't provide you proof and make you believe that these rumors are true, but here are the rumors. And it essentially painted Peter Thiel as the Harvey Weinstein of Silicon Valley. And rather than going after young women trying to make it into the business, he was going after young men trying to make it into the business. And it was kind of like the gay for play thing. So in that sense, it was, similar to aspects of Hollywood and to like male modeling, for instance, and some other industries that are kind of in that general entertainment industry. A lot of people talk about the rap industry having that be a predominant feature of how rappers end up making it. I think they call it the down low. That's like the story that plays out in the background is that all of these people are put into forced to do gay sex acts so that they are compromised and under control the whole time. And it's a power thing, that's exerted by the person who can give them access to that next level. Well, the price of that access is go ahead and do this. And so to port that model to Silicon Valley, when you're talking about these, techno libertarians who, and by the way, the libertarian part is they don't want to be morally judged or potentially prosecuted for their degeneracy. And that's the extent of their libertarianism. The rest of it is the desire for an authoritarian state where their technology is capable of controlling everyone in a way that they are one level removed. Because if it's AI doing it through the tools they've created, well, it's not the same as them doing it. They're not oppressing the people. They just created systems that are now being used by the machine to oppress people. And so, the libertarian thing, that's just a total failure. And when you look at it as access into the big money circles, I mean, I think that model makes a lot of sense.
Did you see the video of Peter Thiel's assistant during the New York Times interview? It's so funny.
No.
Oh, here, let me.
You have it?
Yeah.
All right, Peter, you've been doing great so far. Just some layup questions ahead, and let's bring this home.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right?
I mean, it's obviously a joke.
This has to be a joke, right?
It's a joke, yeah, but that's why it's so funny.
Much funnier now. I was like, this is scary.
Here, let me rewind it so people can catch it because it's a little quiet. But yeah, this is a joke, guys, but it's hilarious.
All right, Peter, you've been doing great so far. Just some layup questions ahead, and let's bring this home.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right?
No way.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
Should
in this.
the human race survive?
Yes. The only answer is yes.
Yes.
Great.
But
fuck.
I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so it's
what is he
talking?
What is he talking about?
Yeah, transhumanism. Human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body, and there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or I don't know, transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. We want more than cross dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind, your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity.
Oh, that was too good.
Yeah, good job by those guys.
Yeah, it's funny. But anyway, I don't remember what you said before that because I got distracted.
Well, we were just talking about the teal thing and that level of access and influence in Silicon Valley. And then you got to go one level back behind Peter Thiel too, and understand that he was doling out money on behalf of the intelligence community in the military industrial complex via InQtel and stuff. You know, he was the initial investor in Facebook. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, the tech things, that's just gonna be fine. The tech guys are all part of MAGA now. No, they're not.
Well, and that's the part of the story that I think is going to be hardest for people to wrap their heads around, and why I'm concerned that we may never even get to that part of the story. If we're going to sit here and justify, not saying us specifically, but if people are going to justify like we need to do things for the normies, like they're not ready for us to tell them who's been like who of these elite powerful people are raping kids or trafficking kids. How are we going to be able to explain to them like all of big tech and the tech industry and Peter Thiel and all these connections and all these AI programs and social media and television and all that? Like there's so many entities that are potentially involved in the bullshit we've been going through these last who knows how long, but especially in terms of this story, this 10-year window we're going to be told this story through, that John Solomon's talking about, this anti-Trump op, this whole thing. How are we going to tell that story? It's not possible. It's so convoluted and it goes so deep. It's deeper than we think. I don't know how we do that.
I don't know either.
I'm worried we're not going to.
But it's also the old adage, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, you know? I mean, just got to do the legitimate truth seeking every single day, hold ourselves to high standards, base our beliefs on first principles, direct evidence, and sound logic, rather than just like, well, I read this in this newspaper and I know that this newspaper lies, so I actually now believe the opposite of that. And Trump said to trust this person, so I trust this person, and therefore that's a bad person. Like, we cannot go about our lives that way.
Yeah. You know, okay, so this is a good topic here. Confirmation bias is a real issue, not just in our movement, but just like in people's day-to-day lives. It's not comfortable learning something that goes against your preconceived notions, that impacts your confirmation bias. And I feel like you are one of, I don't even know if you have a confirmation bias. You don't have a confirmation bone in your body. And
I don't know about that.
I more so joking, but you do have a very good approach to information that most people don't have. Like more people would be well served having closer to your approach to information than probably anybody else's. And how do we get the movement there? How do we get people there? Because getting rid of the confirmation bias will allow you to accept certain information about certain people that you wouldn't be willing to accept before. And it makes you more neutral to the information and focus on the facts instead of like letting your feelings get away. And I can't believe Ben Shapiro is the faggot who came up with that quote, the facts don't care about your feelings thing, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, whatever the facts are, if we ever get to hear them, it's probably going to upset some people. You're gonna learn things about a Peter Thiel and maybe even Elon Musk, or who knows. We don't know the list of names, but you're going to learn things and hear things that may upset you in some way, and you got to be okay with that. And so I don't know. I feel like we have a very well-adjusted audience. I think that's something you texted me the other day too, and I was like, yeah, man, I love that.
Yeah. I think our audience is like probably the most like calm, rational, and well-prepared audience that there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's awesome. And, I spend a lot of my time interacting online because I want to know what real people think. And so, that feedback coming back in is really important.
Real
But in
people
terms
online.
of what's that?
That's just an oxymoron, I think.
Yeah, they're not
sometimes.
all real people. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I had plenty of bots today, but you were asking how we get there. And I think that the way I go about it, at least, is by attempting to convince myself of the opposite viewpoint. And I do that in many directions. And, Burning Bright kind of takes that approach with the bicameral thing. I try to think of every possible perspective. And, this is maybe a benefit that I was able to access in having known so many people in the Hollywood social scene. I knew all these different personality types and would know 20 or 30 of the same personality type. And you can apply that to 20 different personality types. And so when I think about these things, I try to think, how is that person going to see this event? How's that person going to see it? How's this person going to see it? How are my close personal friends going to see it? How does my family see it? And you just embrace all these different perspectives about what that underlying issue is. And if you're able to kind of gain some general understanding of what those different viewpoints are, and you really try to embrace the mindset that would believe that, it provides a lot of different insights and it balances things out. Because if you're just certain that your approach is the correct one and you don't genuinely try on those other ones, well, you're going to have a really limited view. It's going to be the same thing as the intellectual kids table problem on Twitter. There's parts of the conversation that are removed completely. And so that we don't have to feel like we're missing out on stuff, we pretend the entire conversation exists within that bubble. But there's still other stuff out there that we're not going to access if we are, 100% certain that our viewpoint and our perspective is correct. So I think we just have to broaden things.
Yeah, I love that approach. And, when it comes to this, like Trump Durham report 2.0, like I'm trying to figure out a name for it, because we've had this solved one, like before. We had the Durham report, right? Everybody put all our eggs in the Durham basket and it came out, it didn't give us what we wanted. And now it's like we're trying to get this rerun. And I'm excited about it, but at the same time I'm like I'm skeptical. I'm trying to look at this from all sides too, like even the public side, like my friend's side, and what they're thinking. Normally my buddies in my text group, like when something big hits the news, they'll text me and they'll be like, "Oh, look at this. I didn't get that over the Epstein stuff," which I thought was interesting. But I got it over what was the thing I had over before? Just something stupid, like something he said about tariffs, or maybe it was the Iran thing. It was probably the Iran thing. I got over the Iran thing, didn't get it over the Epstein thing, which I thought was an interesting dynamic. I'm trying to think of how they're going to respond to Trump again investigating something that we're told was already investigated before, and how they're going to have to tell this story. I feel like they're going to have to tell the story in a different way in order to get there with everybody and get them on board and accept it. If that's the field we're playing in, right? Is we have to do it for the normies. How are they going to tell this story in a different way to get to the normies? Or are we finally at a point where it's normies be damned?
Well, I mean, I think that the cognitive dissonance that gets caused in these emotional reactions that are clearly provoked, those are the sorts of jarring moments that people are going to have that lead them to change their minds. Some of us got that in just a couple of massive doses in 2020. Some people were awake, obviously, much longer than that. For me, it was massive doses in 2020, but I kind of tried to take it all at once and be like, okay, well, my entire paradigm was incorrect. And so now I need to give away all of that stuff that I thought I knew and try to build back up again. And I think if we're able to do that, the ideas that we can engage that we've been told are wrong, that we've agreed are wrong, or we've argued are wrong, we can engage those ideas and find out, okay, well, maybe it's slightly different than what I thought. Or maybe it's completely different than what I thought. And I hope we can get there. I think that we're moving in that direction. How far does everyone get down that road? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we have a limited window of opportunity. I've been saying that for a little while with this Trump. I mean, I would love to think of the idea of Trump running again. I think he deserves it. I think if that's what he wants to do, he should be allowed to do it. I don't know we're going to get that. And so to me, like the deadline, I'm looking at how many problems we fucking have to fix in that short of a time frame. Start going from elections to like getting our justice and accountability to getting rid of all these illegitimate Congress people, like exposing all of that. I mean, it goes so much bigger and deeper than just the Epstein files. Like there's 100 different avenues you could go down, and each one of those avenues has 100 different things that need exposing and fixing, and we still may not have it all sorted out. And it's just crazy. Like what we went through this week with the Epstein files, and everybody lost their damn mind over that. I can't imagine how we're going to go through every one of those little avenues. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've gone through a bunch of them over the last 10 years, and I think that's kind of been the point. Initially, the entire Democrat agenda was exposed. And then after we get through the period following the fake election and the stolen election, the fake inauguration, the vaccine mandate rollout, toward the end of 21 and into 2022, we began the rhino hunting phase. Okay. And there's this Trump-aligned group that needs to be cleaved off from the MAGA movement. They align themselves because they're hoping to use Trump and MAGA as a vehicle toward their own ends. Well, we got to figure out who those people are and get rid of them. And so we do that with the neocons. We do that with the establishment rhinos. We do that with the military-industrial complex crowd. I mean, I guess that's the overlap with the neocons is almost one-to-one. But now we're doing that with the tech. And you just have to go through that sifting process again and again until it's done. You said something interesting there about Trump being reelected and stuff. And, I don't know what the election thing is going to look like. We see the left, quote unquote, because the uniparty right's also on the left. But, media that is traditionally viewed as the left side of the media, even though they're both left, they've been going off about how Trump is going to cancel the midterm elections, or he's going to cancel 2028 and he's just going to remain in power. Well, I mean, he's already maybe remained in power. We've just had fake elections. And if if we're right about devolution or something similar, then that implies a military government. And I actually ran a poll about that on Telegram and Truth Social this week. And there was something like 1,400 replies between the two platforms. And it was like 85% of respondents saying that they believe we've been under military government, that we are now or have been under military government. And so what does that mean? And we should embrace what that might mean, because it's probably the only way that anyone actually can achieve a position of leadership in the first place, if the military allows them.
That's such a fascinating thought. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Cool Frog, Kool Frog, who rated us. That's never heard of that account before, but appreciate that. The thought of being under military government, and like obviously wrote the Devolution series, totally believe there's some aspect of like what we saw during the Biden administration was not the Biden administration. There's something different going on. But decoupling that story, like that alone for the normie, can you imagine having to like tell that story and explain that story to the average Joe, the mask wearers at the grocery store? Like, that is an insurmountable feat in my opinion. That's why I still believe to this day we're never going to get that disclosure of that being the case. But it does allow for a ton of possibilities of how this plays out when you consider that's was going on and potentially still going on. It makes the stories that they're going to have to tell to like get us to a conclusion of that story going on behind the scenes without disclosing that story behind the scenes. It's a really interesting thought, because we have to get to a post-Trump era at some point.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, with real elections, with all of these obstacles of the intelligence community and foreign countries and the Jews or whatever, and all these issues out from behind the scenes, like the things holding us back. How do we get there without disclosing a military devolution period, military run government? Or maybe they just come out and be like, fuck it, we've been doing this, guys, suck it and figure it out.
there might be a point at which we're able to do that. And maybe the transition process is happening right now, but the people have to be prepared to hear something like that. We have to wrestle with these ideas. And I don't know if you are ready to switch subjects at all, but we had the Karen Bass is in Los Angeles signing like the mayor version of executive orders to keep the federal forces out of Los Angeles. They're not allowed to extract illegal aliens from the city. And Gavin Newsom's tried to take the same approach at the state level. And what they're doing is aiding and abetting the invasion of our country on behalf of the foreign occupying entity that has controlled our government. And in any scenario here, they're refusing to allow the commander-in-chief to execute his constitutional duties in repelling the invasion and guaranteeing to each state a Republican form of government. That is not some little crime where they're protecting brown people. They are committing treason. They are undermining the country at large. And I understand that there's also an interesting states' rights issue there. Maybe it's possible that if we are past that constitutional order, if the compact has been broken, and we've had plenty of indications that that's the case, in addition to Trump stating essentially that that's the case, then we're in a different game. And we need to recognize the different game so that we know what game is actually being played. Because the one on television about partisan politics is irrelevant.
Yeah. While entertaining sometimes, it definitely is.
Fine.
Totally agree with you. The illegal immigration being a form of invasion, which Trump has said as much, and even he codified that. But if you want to look at the executive orders and consider that codification, he did so. He said, I'm declaring what's going on at the southern border an invasion by another country. And he militarized the border. And so that what you just said there about what Karen Bass and some of these Democratic states are doing in terms of defending the invaders, that law of war manual, guys, I hate to even bring that up because some people lose their minds when you say those three words, but 4 words, law of war. Yeah. I mean, that fits like that. They could be in big trouble for aiding and abetting these people. And that's on top of they weren't legitimately elected in the first place. If you have fraudulent elections and what entities help these people gain power in the first place, and then they're using that power to aid and abet invaders, like shit, you're spot on with your analysis with that whole situation. And then you sent a couple clips over and a couple of things that Trump has said.
One more thing about the Karen Bass and Gavin thing. You just mentioned that they're not legitimately elected. Gavin Newsom was recalled in California, and they ran a fake election. Before the election had even concluded, they announced that Gavin Newsom was the winner with 66% of the vote. California still wanted Gavin Newsom to be the president. I would contend that Gavin Newsom was going to win no matter what happened. Same thing with Karen Bass, because the uniparty right stooge Rick Caruso was put up against her. And so we're talking about elections that are controlled either by one side or by the other side. And all we're really talking about is the reporting of election results. But so now you have Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass there, who both fit the Our Boy Blue model in terms of control. And we see that all across the country. And so what is the purpose of this issue then? Well, we're going to get some pretty significant stuff settled throughout this process. And I think it's important that we do that. The military government thing, I think, is hugely important. We talk about the invasion. The only person who has the sole authority, it's under his sole discretion to declare an invasion, is the commander-in-chief. It's not the courts, it's not the legal scholars, it's not anything else, it's the commander-in-chief. Well, who has the sole discretion to declare that the government is operating without the consent of the governed? Well, that's us, and so we don't have to actually wait for these other things to happen. If this became something that everybody in the country agreed about, that our government is just illegitimate. We have fake elections. We can see that they're committing crimes nonstop. They are wasting our money. They're enslaving us. They're convincing us to poison ourselves. They're imprisoning us. You know, you can go on down the list and be like, you know what? The Constitution's not obviously being followed by these people. Like, this government is illegitimate. None of them can prove their legitimacy in office. Like, when do we get to the point of just being honest about what's going on?
The proof of the pudding's in the eating.
Exactly.
I want to play this clip because this also goes into everything you said there. Spot on. When do we start having those conversations? And when is it not taboo anymore? And everybody always defers to like, well, there's no constitutional remedy like when it comes to election fraud. And I hate that excuse. We've been operating outside of the constitutional remedy zone for a while now. You know, and think of the way Trump is handling the Democratic governors now versus the summer of love in 2020. If that was what really kicked off a lot of this stuff, which some people speculated did, you know, I still like to think that the election is what kicked it off, but I don't know if that's accurate. You could go far back as if you're using the same mind frame we're using now on what's being done with this illegal invasion and the protests, and put it on over the summer of love. Trump could have come to the same conclusions then and implemented the devolution stuff way back then. We really don't know. But take a listen to this. This is some interesting comments he made during his cabinet show and tell meeting the other day.
We have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to. We could run D.C. I mean, we're looking at D.C. We don't want crime in D.C. We want the city to run well. Susie Wiles is working very closely with the mayor, and they're doing all right. I mean, in the sense that we would run it so good, it would be run so proper. We get the best person to run it. The crime would be down to a minimal, would be much less. You know, we're thinking about doing it, to be honest with you. We want a capital that's run flawlessly, and it wouldn't be hard for us to do it. And we've had a good relationship with the mayor, and we're testing it to see if it works.
So there's one. He says just going to like take over DC. But then he also had this interesting post about New York.
Yep.
As president of the United States, I'm not going to let this communist lunatic destroy New York. Rest assured, I hold all the levers and have all the cards. I'll save New York City and make it hot and great again, just like I did with the good old USA. Whichever young podcaster or Barron told him to like start saying hot all the time, like stop that. So silly.
Paris Hilton trademarked that.
Did she?
Oh. I think there was a story about that like 20 years ago.
I always love that.
That's hot all the time. To be fair, she trademarked "that's hot."
Oh, it's kind of hot. I love this. Like she goes to a bunch of poor people and wears a shirt that's like "Stop being poor."
Oh yeah, I think I think that picture was actually taken at a club that I used to.
Really?
Run, yeah. Yeah. Damn. Now I'm just on.
We were talking about Trump taking over New York, not letting.
Yeah. So what does that mean? I mean, there are separation of powers issues, and I don't know where the right place to come down on these issues is. I have never really thought, like, how can the president run a major American city? That doesn't sound entirely, well, it certainly doesn't sound like that's the separation of powers in the constitutional form. But again, I don't think that we're in that form. And under military government, if that is a location in the country that is operating on behalf of the foreign occupying power, and that's what it is, there's a foreign occupation in this country. There's been that for probably 250 years. And, you know, it's sometimes more powerful than it is at other times, but it's always been here. And so does he, as commander-in-chief, understanding that they're aiding and abetting an invasion and working on behalf of a foreign occupying entity rather than on behalf of the people, does Donald Trump have the ability to act on that as commander-in-chief? And again, if we're under military government, then that's just a practical decision that they're making.
I got a couple clips here. First, this one.
We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. A number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war. Different kind of a war than we've ever had.
I'm trying to find the clip where he says, I had to attack California.
Oh gosh, I can find you those.
So
Did we do that on Devolution yet?
I think we
that on
did.
here a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think we did a while ago. But it's such a good clip. I could have swore I had it pulled up, but I can't find it.
I think I maybe saved
Oh
it.
yeah, here's one.
It wasn't easy. We had to be very unfriendly to get into those areas. We opened it up.
Mr. President.
I essentially attacked California. Can you believe it? I attacked California. Let's go.
Stared right into the camera.
Yep, I'm pretty sure he said that on multiple little occasions.
Mm-hmm. He said he's invaded. He's called it a skirmish.
You told me to remember Susan Rice for later.
Oh yeah, because we wanted to talk about the Susan Rice and the State Department employees and how they were crying upon leaving. And then the Ezra posts.
Which Ezra posts?
I think there was one about the Susan Rice thing in the State Department talking about. Yeah, Susan Rice. I think she said, like, this is superpower suicide is how she framed it. Like the United States as a superpower is committing suicide. That's obviously not true. The thing I think that she's saying is that this is how the regime, the United States as the kind of default nation of the regime, like the home base of that thing, this is taking that away. So that was the way that they would build the empire was through some of those employees at the State Department. And I think that that's what she's mourning being taken away.
Yeah. See, what's so interesting about this? Okay, so a couple posts from Ezra. Here's one. He posts a picture of the bunch of people crying. State Department being fired more than 1,350 U.S.-based employees. Do you understand now why America has been getting shortchanged in international negotiations for the past several decades? I'm pretty sure they still have like 60-some thousand employees. So like 1,300 is really not that many. He also reposted this, not serious people. State Department employees who have not yet received layoff notices today created posters for their less fortunate colleagues. And then we got
Ezra Cohen, formerly Watnick.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And who knows why he's doing that, but
yeah, but this is the interesting one. And I swear. So I have alerts on for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this come through and I could have swore it originally said insurrection at the State Department, but he changed it to mutiny. But I mean, maybe I'm making that up in my head because I haven't been able to confirm it. I didn't take a screenshot of it, but it says mutiny at the State Department. Elitist blowhards who occupy that building think they know better than the American people who voted for reform. They're doing a great job of highlighting why Secretary Rubio's move to clear them out is prudent.
Wait, John, so when is that post from?
That is from
just the last couple of days.
That was today, exactly 12 hours ago. So
okay,
I bet the Delta.
I bet that you could search your browser history from this morning and see if there are any Twitter links of Ezra posts that you looked at. And if one of them is dead, then that's some confirmation.
Well, it was on my phone that I saw it come through.
I think you can still do that on there though, right?
I don't know. Let me
look at your browser history and whatever browser you were using. Oh, you're probably looking at it on Twitter though.
It showed up on my notifications. Like it popped up like, oh, you have a notification from Twitter. Oh, but I might be able to go through my old Twitter ones.
It also might still exist in your notifications, but that's probably just an alert. It's not the text of the tweet, right?
Yeah, it was just the alert. But let me look for that too. Hold for processing.
This is like when we were examining the R's and the N's.
Yeah, way back when. Let's see. Hold for processing. So if anybody wants to you want to fill the dead air.
Well, do we have I was gonna say, do we have any ads, but that we need to read, but of course then that would be on your end.
You know what we could do is I could probably just look for this later, and if I find it, I'll text you and let you know.
There you go.
And then right now I could read a little spot from 1775 Coffee. Which, by the way, guys, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up. Always appreciate that. And another sponsor of tonight's show is 1775 Coffee. If you still haven't tried it, now is your opportunity. The 1775 starter kit is still available. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Thank you, Rumble and 1775 Coffee.
Indeed.
All right. I don't know, man. What do you say? Should we go through some rants?
Yeah.
I think we got a good chunk of them tonight. I could also check for boosts here quick. Is there anything?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we missed from. Oh man, we were talking about the good cop, bad cop thing before, and I just wanted to share this Trump quote from the CNN article about the
funny.
Jerome Powell thing.
Yes.
I think that this is like the best example of Trump being good cop and bad cop at the same time. Oh, damn it. That's not the right article. Hold on 1 second. Hold on for processing. Here we are.
I might have it too.
I got it. Here it is. So right here, this is Donald Trump. He says of Jerome Powell, I call him every name in the book, trying to get him to do something. Trump said, expressing bewilderment over Powell's impervious response to his powers of persuasion. I do it every way in the book. I'm nasty. I'm nice. Nothing works.
It's so funny.
It's amazing.
It's a great example.
He plays both sides. He knows that the thing he's asking Powell to do is never going to happen. And what he's done with this is no matter what happens, the bad thing that happens in the world of finance, whether it's us, the people having some negative financial effect, or these, the Wall Street and the corporate overlords getting upset about it, it's not Trump's fault. It can't be Trump's fault. It's too late Jerome Powell's fault. You know what Jerome Powell is? Too late. Whatever the thing he does is that causes the problem, well, it caused the problem because he was too late. So it's like already done.
Yeah.
So funny.
And I what was that guy's name who wrote the memo before how do you spell it? Is it Miran?
Yep.
Stephen Moran.
You're talking about the Mar-a-Lago Accord financial approach, right?
Yep. Mar-a-Lago Accord. I want to find that document because I've meant to go do this. I think this got brought up on a show a while ago, and I was gonna go look, but I never did. But this oh gosh dang it, I need to find it. Hold on. This document.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a thing in there, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that it talks about basically lowering the dollar. They want the dollar to keep getting lower and lower and lower. And because Powell is not lowering rates, I think it's keeping the dollar lower, which is what they want in the first place, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea how finances and financial stuff, that's not financial advice, all those disclaimers thing. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure that's the proper understanding.
Well, Trump put this up mentioning Moran on the 8th. So I guess that was Tuesday. He said on Truth Social, a new study by the Council of Economic Advisors, led by highly respected chair Dr. Stephen Moran, has found that tariffs have had zero impact on inflation. In fact, the study shows that import prices are actually dropping, just like I always said they would. The fake news and the so-called experts were wrong again. Tariffs are making our country boom. Many new factories, jobs, and trillions of dollars in investments are pouring into the USA. Someone should show this new study to too late Jerome Powell, who has been whining like a baby about non-existent inflation for months and refusing to do the right thing. Cut interest rates, Jerome. Now is the time. So Moran got a shout out there. And I think that he was actually in an interview, And I have that, but it's like 9 minutes long. And so I don't know where the relevant points are.
Well, I did. If you want to look for those, you can, because I did find what I was looking for.
Okay.
The Mar-a-Lago Accords.
Mhm.
It talks about the dollar quite a bit in here. And there's a whole section on the roots of economic discontent lies in the dollar. The root of the economic imbalances lies in persistent dollar overvaluation that prevents the balancing of international trade. This overvaluation is driven by inelastic demand for reserve assets. And then they have this whole section on Trump has discussed adopting substantial changes to dollar policy. Sweeping tariffs and a shift away from a strong dollar policy can have some of the broadest ramifications of any policies in decades, fundamentally reshaping the global trade and financial systems. I just don't know if I want to look through this whole thing to find where interest rates and the dollar are connected. From a trade perspective, the dollar is persistently overvalued, in large part because dollar assets function as the world reserve's currency. Blah, blah, blah. Praise reserve. Whenever you find what you're looking for, you can throw them up.
Oh, there was an interview, the video of an interview, but it's like 9 minutes long and I don't have a timestamp, so I don't know exactly where to go. I did see in the chat, someone asked if Susan Rice was among the people fired. I don't think that was the case. It was just that she had posted this in anger, I guess. This is the post I was referring to earlier. She said, "This is literally superpower suicide. These are some of the most talented public servants doing critical work. Champagne corks are popping in Beijing and Moscow after they already emptied the wine cellars, celebrating the end of USAID." And so these people are all getting celebrated. They've always got to create a spectacle, because that like gives people on their side, at least, emotions. This was very important. All the people who didn't lose their jobs, they also know how important these people were. So that means that Trump is the big mean man again.
Okay, maybe I have it backwards. Generally, lowering interest rates tends to decrease the value of a currency like the US dollar. Lower interest rates make it less attractive for foreign investors to hold assets. Okay, maybe I'm just retarded, guys. So ignore everything I said for the last like 10 minutes until I flesh this out a little more. And then I'll come back and prove you all wrong that I was right somehow. So just stay tuned for next week.
Yeah. Hold 1 week for processing.
Yeah. On a couple things. Wasn't there another thing I said I had to find? Oh, the Ezra Cohen Watnick thing that I probably made up in my mind. I'll find that too if I can. All right, though. Let's do a couple boosts. We got CK Felt, who says for $5, Badlands boost from July 5th. So this is like a week ago. Hi, I just wanted to welcome any Badlanders in the East Tennessee area to a meetup on Saturday, July 12th at 2 p.m. So that was earlier today. So if you got a time machine and want to go to that, at the Black Horse Tavern in Alcoa, Tennessee. Hope to see you there. Actually, I think I saw a picture from Ty earlier who attended that. Looked like a good crew. Awesome. Okay, and that's the only recent one we got there. We'll go to this. All right. Good chunk of them tonight. Thank you guys for the generosity and support. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up again. See if there's any shenanigans to be had reading through these. I am Rosie 2, says Chris, exclamation point, exclamation point. And then I am Rosie 2 says, yep.
I guess it was a good thing, man.
I would agree. I agree with you.
It's good I'm not always getting screamed at.
1027JS for $20 says, wrong is wrong no matter who does it, in my opinion. And I agree with you there. Thank you, Joe, my fellow North Dakotan. Apocryphal world records. Apocryphal?
Apocryphal, yeah.
Apocryphal world records. You don't know someone until you lived with them.
I mean,
it's a good point. But do you ever really know someone, even if you do live with them? Can you ever really know?
On a very, very deep level.
No. I'm Rosie 2. Locals are being exposed city by city. I see it in San Diego. Yeah. Jay Gonzalez, 1123. Trump is always forwarding loyalty test. Chris Paul is spot on as always. Listening to you guys and other Badlands shows that profoundly impacted my thought processes. Shout out to Ghost, based as fuck. Thank you, Jay Gonzalez. He is always doing loyalty tests. One might argue that Loomer did not pass that this week.
Do you think that she was the gals that Trump was referring to in his post earlier?
I don't know. Is she biologically a gal? Like I don't know. I don't know. But maybe, could be. Maybe he's just generally talking about all of us, men and women everywhere. NLG 8934, longtime lurker and faithful listener for $50 too. Thank you. And appreciate the Badlands team. Worried about our sovereignty regarding the who's IHR that Trump hasn't gotten us out of yet. Deadline is 7/19. What say you? I mean, I'm not really concerned about the World Health Organization's international health, whatever.
Yeah. I think that that's an entirely important idea, but there's the concept of it. Obviously, we should be against these global governing bodies putting policies into place that restrict what we're able to do. It also just happens to be totally unconstitutional and illegitimate, and there's no enforcement mechanism. If they make the recommendations, we're going to have to just say no regardless. It doesn't matter whether this thing gets passed or not. Important to understand the issue, but no real bearing on anything.
Yeah. Like for so many reasons. One, Biden was illegitimate. Two, the Senate was illegitimate. Not that that mattered because they didn't vote on it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just say no to that bullshit. Angie Case, what?
But thanks for the rants is what I said.
Yeah, great rant. Thank you. Angie K, I had said back after the raid and this article came out that Ratcliffe took the D-class binder home and hid it. It just happened that Ratcliffe released the info from it. Could be. Could be. Old School 69. John, Trump during his first term went on his world tour presenting binders of supposed blackmail materials to each stop to force others to repent and comply to his America First principles sword dance. I mean, that sounds nice, but I don't know if we can prove that.
Yeah, that's the problem. But yeah, that's the theory for many years now. That's how he brought everybody into the fold through that. I think they call it the submission tour.
Yeah. It's a cool story. No proof of it. I mean, the proof, I know he went on the tour. It's highly speculative that he was passing out binders of blackmail material. Micro Toolmaker, better late than never for $55. Thank you, sir. Where we go, when we go all. Thank you. The Ape Theory 21. I'm with John. We know nothing and can't do anything about it, even if we know the names. In the meantime, hit that like button and buy Bitcoin from River, promo code Badlands. Nothing can stop what's coming. Hell yeah. That's the guy who had that shirt in Nashville. I love that hat in Nashville. Of yours. Chris Paul was right about everything.
Nice work, Abe Theory.
Fine Time 86. Chris from Viper here. We're going to need more bats if we're going to take on the retards, but we're up for the challenge. Sounds good for business, to be honest. Thanks for all you guys do. That's awesome.
It's so good.
Those Viper bats. Check it out, guys. Yeah, reminder. Badlandsmedia.tv/bats. Promo code Badlands15. Let's take on the retards. Old School 69. Trump mentioned on Tuesday the dollar is king and not going away, and BRICS is pointless and will fail. Also, Alan Dershowitz said he saw the Epstein list but can't reveal due to client privilege. Those things did happen this week. And my personal opinion is Dershowitz is like the oldest human being on planet Earth at this point. He looks so old. Like just release it before you die, dude. If it's true. But you seem like a good guy, whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know him at all. So, but he's an attention whore. Everybody's an attention whore. Sometimes I'm even an attention whore.
Well, he's one of those other, he's an interesting case because he was thought to be an Epstein client by certain people. And he's, I think, addressed that in interviews many times. But then he was also one of the impeachment attorneys defending Donald Trump in the second fake impeachment. And so how do you square that?
I don't know, man. Yeah. Mental gymnastics. That's why we stretch. So you can square those circles. Texas Jewel says, hey, Dallas Badlanders, we're having another meetup Sunday, July 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. in Plano. Email txjules@proton.me for details. Wish I could attend that one. I'm going to attend one of those down there, Jules. We'll get on the same page. Ape Theory 21 says, P.S. Nothing can stop what is coming. I'm referencing Liberty Den from last night. It was one of the best Liberty Dens yet. Oh, John, do y'all have a video on where we can get a cold wallet for Bitcoin? I'd love to learn more. I wish we knew somebody who knew how to do Bitcoin stuff. Maybe we should get a Bitcoin show. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we should have G Money host it.
Yeah.
He can tell you about G does a whole thing that walks people through the process of moving to cold storage and stuff. That's how I learned.
Yep. Yeah. Ape Theory, is he in your chat? He's one of your chatters, isn't he?
Is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, he would have a different name over there.
Or if you shoot me a DM on Twitter if you can, and I'll get you in touch with G.
Yeah. The wallet that
Trezor.
I think that, yes, the Trezor.
Yep. For now, just buy with River, and then we'll get you hooked up. We need to get Trezor as a sponsor of ours too.
Cool.
So don't reach out to G. We'll get a promo code first. Hold for processing. John Drake, 83. Good to see you, man. I'll catch the replay tomorrow while I work on the bullwhip for Deadwood. Just popping in to say that I'm thankful for all you guys do, but not as thankful as Una Panuna. Una Panuna. God, John Drake's so awesome. He's making a freaking bullwhip.
He's calling for the
I'm a little prejudiced.
You got to give the people what they want.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you, John Drake. Can't wait to see that bullwhip. You got to come to Deadwood. I think he was in Myrtle, wasn't he? Pretty sure he came to Myrtle, but I haven't seen him since. So,
yes, definitely Myrtle.
Cam Cooksey. Hey, John and Chris. What color am I thinking of? Teal, I presume.
Wow.
If you weren't black, I'd make fun of you for that. But thanks, Cam. J4020 is now a monthly supporter. Appreciate the support, man. Mean Gerb or Gerb. Cash, Dan, and Pam are 100 loyal to Trump and our country. No chance they would betray Trump or quit. This movie is just exposing disloyal people. Maybe. J4020. Thank you so much, Badlands. I really appreciate your content. It's so helpful to me in the information war. God bless and keep up the great work. Thank you for the rant and the kind words. The final demand says when people find out about pedo rings that have been operating next to them open 24/7 for decades, it will shock them. Millions more victims than Epstein. That's where 700 kids a year go in the U.S. That's, Trump has been working to shut down. Babufio says, honest elections and elimination of cabal, ? It'd be cool. Ziggy Girl for $20. Jeremiah 12:5. If thou hast run with the footmen and they have wearied thee, then how canst thou contend with horses? And if in the land of peace, wherein thou trustedest, they wearied thee, hold on. It's kind of hard to read like that.
Yeah.
At this hour. Thank you for the rant. Lopat 67. Since blackmail power files were held hostage at SDNY, Maureen Comey to Trump admin, makes sense they wouldn't let go of blackmail control ring and instead humiliate and replace with decades of gathered CP. Maybe. Another 179. A Ramel runt for $8. And then follows that up with $2. Okay, a Ramble runt. Wine did that. Well, thank you. Did you
Ramble runt?
Oh, okay. You sent me something else. Like, what did you send me? Where are we at here? Melindy, potentially interesting if correct regarding Russia, Ukraine. And then I'm gonna put this in the private chat, Chris, if you want to check out if it's worth sharing. While I keep going here. TJ Kibbles, Chris. Bongino claims foreign governments surveilled Epstein's planes and properties and blackmailed world leaders. Why does Bondi and DOJ have jurisdiction to prosecute? Shouldn't the military prosecute?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that brought up a couple times this week. I think that makes total sense. There's just too much we don't know.
We don't even know what we don't know, you might say.
Yeah.
The Meerkat, thanks, guys. Pretty psyched about Deadwood. I'm all out of lame comments for tonight. Was it the Mutiny Ezra post you were talking about? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure it originally said insurrection, and then he deleted it and then reposted it with that. But I could just be making up my mind. It could be my own confirmation bias. Tamara C. Flat says, Chris, we have your "You Sound Vaccinated" sticker on one of my trucks. I still get honks and people posing for pics. Crazy.
That's awesome.
So funny. And there we go. Let me see what Melinda had sent. And breaking: Russia has seized the lithium mine that Zelensky promised to give Trump in their mineral deal.
How dare they?
Pretty sure I said at the time, if once the deal's done, it's going to be Russia has the mineral deal with the United States anyway. But
and
hey,
as Burning Bright was pointing out to us today, they've found all sorts of rare earths. Is that what you were going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Just there's all these different rare earth mineral sites in the good old US of A. And so we actually don't need them from other countries. And also, that's been true for a long time.
Yeah. Turns out rare earths aren't so rare. In fact, they might even be common earths.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. And the military, just like that story, the military partnered or bought a bunch of shares of MP for the only rare earths, company in the United States. It's like, this is not a hostile takeover. We still are, whatever our shareholders want, but it's the military who owns the majority of the shares now. So it's totally a hostile takeover. It's funny.
We're going to have to see what it's like the nationalization of companies and maybe entire industries. And that's something that I think a lot of people would be really opposed to, for good reason. You don't want private companies being seized by a government and nationalized. But then again, these aren't private companies in the first place. These are companies that have been started and financed and run by that foreign occupying entity, so.
Yeah. Pentagon to become largest shareholder in rare earth miner MP Materials. And then down here it says, I want to be very clear. This is not a nationalization. We remain a thriving public company. We control our destiny. We're shareholder driven, with the DOD being the largest shareholder. That's why I just thought it was so funny. Totally nationalization. Anyway, that's all the rants. And you did share that video in the private chat. I think we did for the outro. We talked about this on maybe Thursday's Only Lands, but we'll play it again as an outro. This is a great video. And then we'll play Brad's trailer that we're going to unveil at Deadwood after this. So I'm going to play 2 videos back to back. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. And have a great night. I suppose. Any closing words, Chris?
Nah. Good night, everybody.
Okay. Good night.
Have a nice rest of your weekend.
1.5 billion.
Well, now that's just insane.
These fucking vultures are trying to pluck my eyes out.
Have you talked to Rudy yet?
Rudy was the one who told me.
That's the price. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's 1.5. It's just what it is.
This is just, when big things move, all parties have to be mutually, well, it goes without saying, somebody is incredibly miffed you made that
Miffed?
deal.
My guys told me 150 million tops. If I can't get that shit out of those walls for less than 1.5 billion, I'm fakakta. You understand? I never should have listened to you.
I never told you to buy 2 towers of Babel filled with asbestos. Nothing in New York real estate is that easy. You weren't buying a fucking deli.
I don't have 1.5. I need that shit out of the walls, or I need those buildings
Which
gone.
I told you is never going to happen. The demolition will probably cost more than it did to build the fucking thing.
See? Fakakta. At this point, it costs less to get someone to fly fucking planes into the building and collect the insurance.
For that, you'd need terrorism insurance.
I'll call you back. Deborah.
I'm right here, sir.
Oh, I need you to find out what kind of terrorism insurance we've got on those piece of shit towers.
Mr. Vice President, I've got an interesting idea I'd like to propose to you.
Did somebody order a false flag operation?
Get him whatever he wants. I just want him to feel like he's part of the team. Just pull it already.
And then when France doesn't join, we're going to call them Freedom Fries.
So I found this fucking passport over there. It's kind of burnt up, but not too bad considering it came from a fucking plane crash. Am I right? And not for nothing, but I already checked it, and it's a fucking Saudi Arabian guy. It's definitely probably one of the terrorists, because, well, I mean, fucking come on here.
Even enemies need to agree sometimes.
And if you call it the global war on terrorism, I mean terrorism can be anywhere. So now you can fight everywhere. It's going to be great. So that's the plan so far. Be honest. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you, Dick, Daddy's going to think this is just so cool, you know? It's like getting the band back together.
Next thing you know, we heard boom. We ran up to the corner and hit right into the World Trade Center.
Can you tell us what kind of an airplane is it?
It had to be a 737. It had to hit the World Trade Center.
Okay, and what do you see at this point?
Oh, smoke and screaming and, screaming engines and all the fire engines and police departments are all traveling down that way. Oh, my God almighty, the black smoke all over the place. I hope there's got to be somebody killed in it and poor people that went to work. In a matter of seconds, we heard a boom. We went to the corner, and there it was, right in the middle of the World Trade Center.
If you're taking a look now, you can see that we've just had another explosion.
Oh, my God, the smoke is coming out. Black billow smoke. My God almighty, this is a real disaster.